All right, you ready? All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Sales Freak. And today I have the great honor of having Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Now, for those of you that don't know, Mark is author of High Profit Selling, High Profit Prospecting, and his most recent book, Mind of Sales. He also does the Sales Logic podcast on Saturday mornings with Meredith Powell. He's known as a speaker, author, consultant, and has one of the top 10 sales training programs in the world, which I am actually a member of. And so, Mark, wanted to thank you for doing this today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Great to finally meet. We finally meet live.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things we could talk about, and in researching and without even researching, I already knew, but so I want to kind of narrow it down because we could go all over the place and the accolades and the different books and everything you've written. But what I want to kind of start off with is you did High Profit, the book High Profit Selling, High Profit Prospecting, which I have right on my shelf right there. It's a great book. And then you came out with recently a Mind for Sales. And why now? Why a Mind for Sales? And what kind of started you to decide to go that route on focusing on the mind of sales?
Well, what it came down to was when I wrote my first book, High Profit Selling, it was about how to maximize price. Because that's what people were struggling with. How do you get the right price? And people said, this is great, but how do I know who to sell to? So that's what led me to write High Profit Prospecting. And I wrote High Profit Prospecting and said, okay, I've written 2 books. I'm done. I can go to sales heaven now.
Yeah.
And the problem was people said, okay, you showed me how to do it. You gave me scripts, you gave me everything, but man, I'm just struggling. That's what led me to say, hey, it comes down to the mindset. So it comes down to, if you don't have the right mindset, you can have all the tools you want. So that's what led me to write A Mind for Sales. So really what I did was I did the whole Star Wars thing, just kind of backwards. Maybe I should have started with A Mind for Sales and worked myself the other way.
Well, I love it because, I just hit last week my 50th birthday, and I've been in sales, well, basically since I was about 18, but professional sales, not door-to-door vacuums when I first started, B2B professional sales since like 94. And I recently realized within myself, at 50, what's blocking me from doing what I want and getting to where I want to get to. And as I mentioned, I'm a member of Sales Hunter University. I also just recently joined another one group program, which is on the mind, because I've realized that there are things that block me to getting what I want to get to. And I would suspect that's the issue for a lot of people, although we're in our own mind. So we don't recognize necessarily some of the things that are blocking us. What do you see when you are working with salespeople? And I know you go all across the globe doing training and consulting. What are the things that are blocking salespeople from taking to the next level from a mind perspective?
Well, the issues are global. I mean, I had a coaching session this morning with a person in Switzerland. The same issues that I deal with people who live in Kansas. Here's what it comes down to. People just fail to believe what they can do. I'll give you this example. This person I was speaking to in Switzerland, she was saying that she was frozen. She just empty pipeline. And I quickly went back through my notes and I spelled out, no, here's what you've got going on. You have. And I listed 10 things. And I said, you have a lot more going on than you realize. She sent me back a note. She said, wow, I didn't realize that. See, because what happens is once we begin to go negative, we begin blocking out all of this stuff. But I'll tell you what I find is that when I'm on the positive, when I'm on the upside, the positive side of selling, and my definition of selling is if I know I can help someone, I have an obligation to reach out to them, because sales is about helping others see and achieve what they didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
So when I get that mindset, I suddenly see opportunities all around me. And it's interesting, but tomorrow morning I'll have another session with her. And I know her frame of mind is going to be totally different from what I sent her today.
That has to be rewarding from your perspective, be able to help people, inspire them from that perspective. But I can relate to her because, we have sales teams and we have sales managers and stuff in a lot of cases, but 80% of our time is usually on our own, right? And things can happen, negativities, people saying no, having a bad sales call, whatever. And it's a slow transgression from being positive to all of a sudden waking up one day and realizing, hey, you've dropped those habits. You're not doing those things that are guiding you to success or have guided you to success.
Spot on. Let me share with you an example. I'm working on a very big deal right now. I've been working on it for about 6 months. And I was to have a conversation this morning with the chief revenue officer of this company. He had even said, we'll talk somewhere Monday morning, sometime Monday morning. Couldn't pin him down. Now, I didn't hear from him. Now, it's easy to sit there for me to say, oh, wow, he's found somebody else. Oh, wow, something else come up. Oh, wow. And if I was dwelling on the negative, I'd suddenly see that this isn't going to happen. But if I deal in the positive, hey, you know what? He just got busy, got sidetracked. I'll be connecting with him. I'm confident I have the solution. I did this with another deal that I am working on. And it's just been drug out a little bit too long. I know there's some competitors in that same space. And this morning I tried to reach out to him, couldn't reach him, but I sent him an email with 3 more value items. Boom, boom, boom. Here's some things you can be doing. Here's some things. And people might sit there and say, Mark, you're giving away the farm. No, I'm not. I'm creating so much value that I know when he comes to make a decision, he's going to have to turn to me.
Yeah. That's awesome. One of the things that you talk about, and you have kind of 4 points that in your book, and you advertise on Amazon and stuff as well. And I've really found point 1 so simple, but at the same time, I don't do it all the time as well. And it's like, why don't I do that? And so the thing that you say is never allow the day to end without knowing what you're doing tomorrow. It's so simple, but I'm guilty of it 50% of the time. I'm not doing it.
See, this just proves sales is not complex. We make it complex because we want to justify for our own excuses. We want to justify our own, oh, I don't want to do this. We want to justify why we shouldn't have to do something. Sales is not complicated. It's going through very basic activities with a level of repetition and a level of consistency and a level of empathy. That's all it comes down to. You do that, you will be successful.
I like that. It keeps running through my brain, so I'm gonna share it. As being from Canada, I used to play hockey, and particularly I played goal, and I was pretty good. I should have gone to NHL, but ended up partying and stuff like that. Others I played with did, but I would do really well, and then I'd start letting in 4 goals, 5 goals in a game, and my dad would come and watch. And he'd go, well, yeah, you're lifting your stick off the ice. You don't have your glove out. Just the standard basics. I started cheating. I didn't do this, and I had to have the basics to make me successful. And if I didn't use the basics, it didn't matter how good I was, a puck went underneath my stick, or I didn't catch it, or what have you. And it was just those basics. And my dad would come back, and then I'd get back to being good again, or better.
Stop and think about that.
Yeah.
The most basic fundamental about playing goalie is you keep the stick on the ice. You keep it on the ice.
Yeah.
And that should be something so basic. And yet you're right. What do? We lift it up and that puck goes right underneath. And yet it's very basic. Just drop it. Keep it on the ice. Yeah. Again, this is what sales is. And this is where so many salespeople fall down. Just make the call. Just make the call and follow up again and again and again. It's not complicated.
And you bring up a good point. The basics. And just back to my hockey analogy, I had a coach one time that took a big, huge rock and taped it to my stick. And I had to skate around the ice and play my practice with it. I couldn't lift the damn stick, right?
Right.
Made the basics. Right. So when you talk about the follow-up, one of the things that I come across with people I talk to and stuff is they almost feel like, well, the statistics, 1.3 times, I think it is, that, the average salesperson stops. How many times you say the follow-up, keep following up, how many times before you quit? Most people do it 1.3 times. 10 times, 100 times?
Well, it's going to depend upon the size of the opportunity.
Okay.
There are people out there, I'm going to, you either buy or you die.
Yeah.
If it's a small opportunity, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to follow up a few times. But if it's a big opportunity, I've got, well, it's this situation I'm working on right now. I've probably followed up 20 times.
Yeah.
But it's a big enough deal, and we're right here at the goal line. We're going to put the puck into the net. I feel very confident on that. But if I had not done the other previous 10, 15, that puck would still be way down at the other end.
Yeah.
So I firmly believe the level of follow-up. And every time I follow up, I'm bringing new value. This is what's so key. Salespeople, listen up here. I got an email this morning. It's so stupid. Just wanted to bounce this to the top of your email. Look, sucker. You're in the penalty box, okay? You're in the penalty box. I'm going to take the Zamboni and I'm going to run it over you. We're into a hockey theme here, if you get it.
I do.
And I mean, your email is so bad the first time that you wanted to send it to me a second time, and you want to call it to my attention by saying I wanted to bounce this to the top of your email. Oh, give me a break.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, I think a lot of people nowadays, I can be guilty of it too, is you think to yourself, oh, well, they must not be interested. They must not be this. They haven't responded fast enough. And the fact of the matter is people have so many things, like it's a priority right now. And then something, a fire happens. They put out that fire. And then once it all settles down, they come back to you. So you don't know what it's like in their world. It's only from your world. And you're not the top priority for them at that moment, but they're going to get to you.
See, it's because we assume we know what's going on in their mind. Yeah. They didn't wake up thinking about us. Come on. Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. I've got to be prepared. I got to remain out there. I got to remain out. I've had many, many clients that I've had to chase for months and months and months and months. And the whole time they want to do business with. Now think about this. Your selling process is a reflection of the service you provide. Think about that for a moment. If you are providing a service and you follow up once or twice and give up, go away, what's that tell the customer about the service you're going to probably provide?
That's a good point.
If, however, you are consistent, you are there, boom, 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 boom. What's that tell the customer? These people must be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good point. I was interviewing with Tibor Shanto last week and doing it, and he talked about, he just recently got a customer that the first time he reached out to was 2004. Right. Like 2004, but he kept it up and finally got them 2004. 17 years.
Now think about that.
Yeah.
That's 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went to US public schools too. So, hey, I can figure that one out. Think about that. It is about knowing that you can make a difference with people. This is what sales is all about. Sales, again, I don't know. It's not complicated. It's not hard.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think you probably wrote the Mind of Sales, because we're our own worst enemies, right? We get in our heads. I called them 3 times. They haven't called me back. Must not be interested, or whatever. And we're in our own mind. It's 12 o'clock. They're probably at lunch, right? Or whatever.
Mondays you can't prospect. Fridays you can't prospect. You use all the excuses, and it's going to come down to the only time you can prospect is on Wednesdays between 10:30 and 10:35 a.m. Central Time. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Hey,
but not Wednesdays. That's hump day.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm sorry. Well, yeah. I come down to this. Friday afternoons and Monday mornings for me are great selling times. I have great conversations on Friday afternoons. It's amazing the conversations I have Friday afternoons. Monday mornings is a time when I close many, many deals. Oh yeah, we got to get this done right now. Let's just do it right now. It don't sit there and think in your mind it's not a good time. You don't have the ability to read the customer's mind. No. You struggle reading your own mind. That's why I wrote the book, A Mind for Sales.
Yeah.
So don't go thinking you can read the customer's mind.
Absolutely. Another point you have is, and I really like it, and want to kind of elaborate a little bit on another point you have in the book is top salespeople measure results. And again, you talked about some of the programs I'm taking in, and it's in our own mind, right? Like for me, I can use myself as an example. I have to measure my progress as my results, not what I feel. Right? I feel that I tried hard enough on that diet. Oh yeah, okay, have a little piece of cake. You've been doing pretty good. Well, no, you're measuring the results, and the results are, on Friday, you're going to weigh in, you're going to see. You're measuring the results based on numbers. What's your thought on that? And when you say measure results, what does that look like from a sales perspective, from the mind of sales?
Well, I feel like I flew the plane really well. We crashed, we all died, but I feel like I flew it really well. See, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Too many people measure the easy things. How many phone calls did I make? How many emails did I send out? Whatever. I don't care. I really don't care. Now, if you are absolutely struggling to get going, those are metrics that you do need to measure. But the top performing salespeople are only concerned with one thing, the results. The measurements that I look at, there are three measurements I look at, top performing salespeople look at. A, of course, what's your bottom line results? But two, what is your speed? The speed to close from the time the lead is first coming in to the time it closes. What's that speed? And the third one is, what are the number of contacts? What are the number of interactions I have to have? Those are the three measurements that top performing salespeople need to be zeroed in on. Everything else is just noise. Everything else. See, top performing salespeople are incredibly focused. They are incredibly focused. They don't get caught up in, oh, wow, I had 20 more people like me on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it might be. No, I could care less. It's cutting to the chase. I like to say you can't take clicks and likes to the bank. I know salespeople that will measure how many likes they get on a LinkedIn post, how many comments they get. I could care less. I get thousands of those. I'm pretty prolific out there on LinkedIn. We don't look at that. We don't look at that. Yeah. I want to look at my bottom line sales.
And that doesn't make the phone ring either, does it? I mean,
it doesn't make the phone ring. It doesn't.
Now and again, sure, but yeah, no. I mean, it's advertising, it's marketing, it's something to do, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make the phone ring. I like that. So when you say step three, or interaction, so are you saying that salespeople should be measuring? Okay, on average, it's taking me 10 conversations or 8 conversations or what have you.
Yes, that's what I'm measuring.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the fact that I had a conversation with you. We exchanged information. I sent an email. You responded back to me. Those are interactions. One-way communication. I get bogged down. Now, sometimes I got to send 3-4 one-way communications to get a response back. I get that. I understand that. So I'm not totally ignoring it, but it's not the high value interaction.
Gotcha. Okay. And that's a great point. So on average, it's going to take you, let's say 6 one-to-one interactions, and that's a good way to measure your pipeline. Okay.
Right.
On average, I talk to someone once every 2 weeks. Yeah. 12 weeks out or whatever.
Right. See, now I can begin to build my calendar. I can begin to understand what do I need in my pipeline. I can begin. See, here's what I find. So many salespeople, they will call me and they say, Mark, I don't have any deals to close. My immediate question to them is, how much time did you spend prospecting? See, you can't close what you don't first prospect.
Yeah.
So you better spend time up at the top of the funnel if you want to have stuff at the bottom of the funnel. Stuff just doesn't fall into your funnel. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen.
No, absolutely. And so just because you got me thinking of that, so when you're saying top of the funnel and then prospecting, are you talking about having them use LinkedIn, use the phone, email, text, what have you? what tools can they use for that top of the funnel? Because that can be time consuming a little bit.
Well, it can be, and it can be immersed with shiny objects. Oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. Or here's the thing. The process you use is going to be customized to who you are, your customer base, who you sell to, et cetera, et cetera. For some people, it's using LinkedIn a lot. Okay. For others, it's not.
Yeah.
I was with an organization this past week, very successful people. There's really only about a third of them that even know what LinkedIn is. They just don't have a use for it. See? So if I'm going to sell to those people, I got to use the telephone. I got to use email. I got to use referral. So I'm going to use the medium, not what I prefer, but the medium that works to reach my ideal customer profile.
That's a great point. I have people all the time saying, do you use LinkedIn or what have you? It's like, well, yeah, but I mean, in the tech world, most people and a lot of your prospects are on there. I specialize kind of more in the janitorial sector, and more now since COVID, but way less. Right. So that wasn't a platform up until recent that actually worked all that well.
Right. See, you've got to know where your audience is. This is where I get concerned when people say, oh, I listen to this podcast or watch this show. This is what this person did to make $1 million. I'm going to do it. And it's like, there was a person who jumped off a cliff and made $1 million because he lived. That doesn't mean you should jump off a cliff. Okay. Now nobody actually did that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, it's a great point because, we're all different, right? And we have to do. I think what you're saying too is do things within your realm of your strengths. Some people are, really prolific on doing Zoom calls. An example. Some people, you do a Zoom call with them and they block their screen out. They don't. So what have you? So the other point you have is, and I really like this. And that it's just a great little saying you have, but you say the goal is simple. Spend more time with less prospects.
That drives sales managers crazy. That totally drives them crazy. But here's the whole piece. I can fill on my calendar meeting with people who don't want to buy from me. Yeah. That's not too hard. I mean, really, come on. That's not too hard. Yeah. What I want to do is I want to spend time with highly qualified individuals who I know I can help. And, I want to spend a lot more time with them. You see, there's nothing worse than spending time with prospects. And again, this is vanity metrics. I had 3 meetings today. I had 3 calls today. Well, what's your close ratio? It's like 2%. Well, then you're having bad meetings.
Yeah.
I'd rather have 1 meeting with a really good prospect where, goes for an hour and a half because we're having a great conversation. Yeah. That to me is going to supersede 3-4 garbage meetings.
Absolutely. I learned that as a young man being in the cleaning industry. You go in and you would sometimes help them strip and wax their floors, right? And it was a great lesson because one night I went there and I worked from basically midnight till 6 a.m, strap wax on the floors. And then about 2 days later, I went back to see the contact, the prospect who wasn't there. He goes, "Oh yeah, I haven't even looked. Let's go look." And I thought to myself, I was here from 12 to 6 a.m, right? He was just keeping me busy. I wasted my time on a prospect and spent 6 hours in them. Right? He didn't care. He was just saying, "Yeah, do it. Get rid of this guy. Get rid of this guy." And I was spending time with a prospect that I had no chance of closing.
And you wound up giving him a free service.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. See, this is the problem.
Yeah.
A busy salesperson is not a productive salesperson. Drop the mic on that one.
Yeah. Productive
salespeople are engaged with motivated buyers that they intend to get across the finish line.
Yeah. No, it's a great lesson. And it's a great truth. And I can see a lot of salespeople, depending on who their sales managers are, that can be a bit of a challenge, right? Some of the old school guys might be make 10, 12 calls a day. It's like, okay, hi, how you doing? Oh yeah, you're not interested. Goodbye. Right. I mean, you can't do, you can't get a lot of quality prospecting calls in 12 in a day, as an example.
No. This again comes back to understanding who is your ideal customer profile.
Yeah.
Take the time to really figure that out. And the way you figure that out is you ask yourself, what are the outcomes that they achieved? What are the outcomes? I mean, you're in the janitorial business. I've had a chance to work with a number of them. And I remember back a few years ago, I was working with one, and their whole premise was their whole bonding and security piece. That was what they focused on, their bonding and security. And they only went after clients who needed a high degree of security before they would allow people on their premises off hours. They didn't try to get every deal out there. They didn't. But as a result, they could charge more. They were able to charge a premium. They were able to recruit better people because they had to recruit better people. Yeah. And what did it do? It allowed them to create a very substantial business by playing on a niche of the business, not the entire business, a niche of the business.
Yeah. That's great. Last question, and I did two little small ones after that is, you say the three greatest assets of a salesperson is their time, their mind, and I really like the third one is the network. Maybe just kind of elaborate a little bit on that. I mean, we got the time, the mind, and the network.
Yeah. First of all, your most valuable asset is not what you sell, it's your time. Your time. So I want to say is this. Every day, your job is to protect your time. Make sure you use it in the most efficient manner. And I use the term CFT, customer facing time. How much time of my day you spent customer facing? I'm dealing with customers. 2, I want to grow my mind. In other words, every day I want to learn something new about sales. Every day I want to learn something new about my industry. Every day. If every day I can learn something new, guess what? Pretty soon I'm going to be the smartest kid on the block. Yeah. The last one is your network. It's not using your network. That's garbage. Nurture your network. I want to contribute to my network. I want my network to grow. I want my network to have success. I want my network to be valuable. Why? Because a rising tide lifts all boats. If I'm part of that network, if I'm part of that group of people, guess what? As they go up, I go up. We become the sum of the 5 people we associate with the most. So I want people in my network who are really successful. I want to help them be successful. So it's protect your time, grow your mind, nurture your network.
I like that. And rising tide lifts all boats. I've never heard that before, and that is absolutely fantastic saying. I love it, and it's true.
Except in the winter when there's ice, it doesn't work. Just there.
Good point. So I mentioned I'm part of Sales Hunter University. It's been rated in the top 10 of all sales training programs, which is a great accolade. I can tell you've got plethora of, if that's the right word, of information of different programs, different courses on different sections, mind, prospecting, what have you. Maybe just tell a little bit of everybody a little bit about it.
Well, yeah. In fact, every month we put out new content. I'm working right now, just before we did the show, I am working through some LinkedIn content. We're putting out a whole LinkedIn program that's going to be absolute gangbusters. We really zero in on trying to help provide people with really the nuts and the bolts to help them be successful. And we do it in various manners. And this is what everybody doesn't learn the same way. Some people learn best through video. Some people learn best through workbooks. Other people learn best through interaction. So we provide, to use your term, a plethora of avenues and ways with which people can learn. And then we also provide the one-on-one. We have what I call open office hours, where people can just call me up and say, hey, Mark, I got an issue. People do that all the time. I love that because that really helps me understand what's going on out there in the sales world.
Yeah, no, I love that. And for those that are listening, there's 3 different programs, and you get I mean, the first one's like a cup of coffee a month or something. I mean,
it is. Yeah. I mean, you can get it at the low level. You can go all the way up to the high level. In fact, it's interesting. I've got people who are asking me for an even higher level because they want more time with me, and I'm scratching my head. We're going to figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Last questions. I know you're busy. I want to keep it all within about half hour of the show, and that it's kind of a silly question nowadays because if there's a will, there's a way. But how do people find out more about you, and where do they find you?
Well, it's thesaleshunter.com.
Yeah.
Hunter is my real last name. I didn't change it to get the job. In fact, my roots go back to Winnipeg. Okay.
Really?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's where my father was born.
Oh.
And although I was born in the States.
Yeah.
So it's thesaleshunter.com. Complex story. We tried to buy saleshunter.com. It was already taken. So we put a the in front of it. Gee, it's amazing what market research can do for you. So it works.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Well, Mark, I really appreciate your time. Everybody, I'd encourage you to watch his podcast. He does it on Saturday mornings, I believe, with Meredith Powell, another sales expert. And Mark can be found at thesaleshunter.com, or you just punch up Mark Hunter. Trust me, he's on Instagram, he's on LinkedIn, he's on Facebook. If there's a will, you'll find him. So, Mark, thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, and that. Hey, thank you very much for your time, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Great.
Yeah. Just let you know, I'm starting a new kind of marketing strategy, if you will. Yeah. You ever watched Evan Carmichael?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. So I have that. I'm working with a guy, and I have 2 done. I have Tibor done, and I have you done.
Great.
And then I got about another 30 in the hopper, and that's I'm going to be doing that, posting on YouTube and on LinkedIn. But I'll tag you in it. But I think yours is 25 minutes of 5 tips from Mark Hunter.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Evan did it. I mean, I haven't. In fact, it's funny. I hadn't heard his name now in probably about a year or so. But boy, for years I followed him religiously. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's great, right? He does. I kind of was watching the other day, and I go, geez, there's so many people that have great messages, and not everyone's going to go search for them on YouTube.
Right.
I bring them to them.
Right.
So yeah,
right. I love it.
So I'll tag you in it, and I think yours is 25 minutes long of 5 tips of Mark Hunter.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate your time, and this will go out next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday.
Okay, you got it. Let me know by then. I'll have a better voice. I apologize. I gotta quit. I gotta do a program here in about an hour, so I better.
No problem. You take care, and thanks for your time. Really.